Pretty perceptual matters.
Confusion.
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 Today, Joe and I will be discussing the problems of New York City schools. Obviously, there's a lot of room for improvement.
Wrong!
You can explain why a prominent board member recently declared the city schools a disaster.
Easy, because he is dumb and I am smart.
Confusion and stupidity.
Confusion of an extreme kind.
And ignorance about this matter. He has a heart.
If anybody has the eye.
Has a heart.
On the web of information. On the web of information. On the web of information.
Things happening many levels at once, as in a myth. The word, I think I've mentioned once, is mythos in Greek. Word is myth. In an information age, the whole culture becomes word.
Understood the threat of value shifting. A Windows-based mindset when actually the threat was Google all along.
That's the challenge for these companies that have been successful. Like, it's impossible for them to view things from a perspective different from where they've been.
If anybody has the eye.
In terms of auditory magic.
Sure. Sure. You mean say? I like to call myself a unicorn. That's the kind of item I put in dictionary. An unidentified flying object is an intellectual world. Which, an unclassifiable verb. So my students, we got about 35 young seminarians who were students of mine. But I remember the afternoon, we proofread the book in one afternoon, and we had a group of some of my students from here. They all came over to the library and we had books. All the books in Gutenberg Galaxy, they're all laid out on 16 tables. Yeah. And they sat down, they proofread the whole book in one afternoon. 35,000.
Each one working on it?
Oh, with two people working on each. Chapter. One reading with the eye, one reading aloud. You have to proofread that way.
Really?
Oh yeah. You can't just, one person can't proofread very well.
There's usually two people.
You have to have someone to read the text out loud while you look at the other text.
And there were no mistakes there?
I don't know. No complaints. What we have done is this.
Pretty perceptual matters. If anybody has the idea that perception is something they do all the time, they have immense shortcomings.
Is this?
Either one or the other, I want to find it.
Are you kidding me? Understanding media, the extensions of man, was like my good nightmare.
Or on the shape of the cheap wit of the New Yorker.
And
with you on time.
And with all its effects, social consequences carefully dramatized. Finnegan's Wake is a drama, it's a play, and the actors in the play are the media themselves.
As a guest on Airbnb, the knowledge that you display on Coral, the knowledge that you display on
Videosity.
we have done these things to solve this problem. And somebody out there will say, but you're doing all the wrong things. Stuff, it's made of information only.
Everything is related to everything. And he says that is paranoia.
Yeah.
Now,
Wait, can you...
an adjective applied to literate man by a literate man, and is not irrelevant at all to the condition. The job of the artist is to maladjust the user of the equipment. The euclid has been phased out because the eye has gone back into the rest of the sense. It was Rimbaud's phrase, de règlement de tous les sens.
Yeah.
This is the job of the artist, to upset you, to keep you off balance all the time. The meeting point of the senses, the hidden and the visible. Where the two cross, you have icon. Where the hidden world meets the visible. In our own day-to-day, the acoustic world is always meeting the visual world. That is, the hidden world of sound is always bumping into the world of sight, the visual world. And where the two meet is icon. And this is what I do. That's my job.
Call yourself an artist.
In that sense, yes.
Yeah.
My approach has to be used if anybody wants to get hold of anything. Paranoid about, what do we call it, pollution. The problem is this, and what we have done is this. Time as the alphabet. To Greece. Now the Phoenicians were not in Greece. They were all around in the Mediterranean world, but they weren't in Greece. And therefore the opposite of a point of view. School.
That's essentially it.
When Cubism came in, 1900 or so, it was called multi-locational. Unaware, I've been aware that there has been a hang-up here, but unaware of why.
This Mrs. Equitone is really a very useful bit because the whole British upper class mimic, with voice, they mimic the world of printing. This puts the lower classes way down because they still retain many of the characteristics of pre-print in their voices. So the class structure in England is quite simply simulating print with the voice.
Tell dear Mrs. Equitone I bring the horoscope myself.
One must be so careful these days. Now, Equitone, notice, is the name of speaking in prose. Tell dear Mrs. Equitone I bring the horoscope myself. One must be so careful these days. You see, you talk as if you were a printed page.
Equitone, yeah.
Yes.
Equal tone.
And that is the effect that print has had on speech. It gets rid of all the hijinks of the spoken word.
Yeah, that's the great thing.
Yeah.
Out of just that one discovery came the book Mechanical Bride. This is practical criticism applied to the advertisements of the 1940s,
right,
30s and 40s. And the book that we wrote later, called Culture's Our Business.
Objects. You do not any longer bring a top physicist in or a top engineer in to tackle a particular problem in mechanics. You bring in people from biology and psychology. You bring them in from all over the management and you say, now here's the problem.
You will not bring the specialist whose specialty the problem is.
That is right. You keep him out.